Happy second Monday of the new year, which brings us to today's topic of should you detox? Now, I don't know about you, but I know that when I'm driving around in my car or watching TV or just listening in, tuning into any type of media, I continuously am hearing more and more advertisements for different kinds of cleanses, detox, weight loss pills, weight loss solutions, especially this time of year. It's literally everywhere. You might be thinking, well, isn't that what you're doing right now? Yes, but also no. If you are at all familiar with me as a coach or my message that I do deliver inside of coaching or mentoring people inside of their health and fitness journey, you clearly understand at this point that I am not a huge fan or advocate of pills that advertise that they will help you lose huge amounts of weight, detox pills, detox teas, detox shakes. I'm not a big fan of any of those things. With that being said, there are some supplements that are beneficial to add into your regimen if you are following a protocol that helps your body naturally detoxify itself. And so today I want to share with you 3 things. 1, what to look for and or how to determine do you need to detox. 2, if the answer to 1 was yes, I want you to leave today with some understanding of what you can begin to implement in order to help your body's natural detoxification pathways so that you can be well on your way. Number 3 is going to be how to move into integrating some of these things into your lifestyle in a way that allows you to continue to receive the health benefits that you will achieve inside of number 2. Before we dive into those 3 things, I would so greatly appreciate if you would like and subscribe. Just leave any comments that you think of along the way as you listen into this video today. So number 1, what should you be looking for to determine whether or not you should follow this protocol that I'm about to share with you today? Now, these are all signs that your body is not efficiently or effectively naturally detoxifying itself, and there are things that we can do to help support those detoxification systems that do exist in our bodies. Now remember, from what I already stated, you don't need a pill, you don't need a shake, you don't need a tea to help you detoxify your body. There are certain things that you can add in addition to supporting your body's natural detoxification pathways that will help that process. Today, I want to focus on number 1, what things might be popping up for you if you do need to help your body's detoxification system. If you're somebody who frequently feels like you have brain fog or just an overall level of fatigue, maybe you can't fall asleep easily, maybe you have a hard time staying asleep. Something that a lot of people don't realize is the majority of your neurotransmitter functioning begins inside of the GI, and so if things are not functioning efficiently there, it's definitely going to impact your cognition as well as kind of what happens with your brain when you're trying to shut it down at night, and of course at other points throughout the day. Are you somebody that often feels bloated or just kind of like a stack of potatoes? Every time you eat, you feel like food just sits in your stomach. Maybe you frequently experience acid reflux. Maybe you just generally feel like your digestion is slow. If you do not have a bowel movement consistently at least once every single day, I actually heard a doctor educating a room full of staff that stated that if you don't have 1 to 2 bowel movements a day, you're technically considered constipated. So let that sink in for a minute. Not only should you be having a bowel movement every single day, but the consistency of that stool also matters. This is a topic that nobody really wants to talk about, but it's very relevant. It's very telling of what's going on internally. If you're somebody that often experiences high levels of anxiety, this could be linked to your poor digestion. If you're somebody that has lots of acne, lots of skin issues, obviously we know that this can be hormonal. That can also be very relative to what's going on inside of the GI. You might often experience low energy or moodiness. You might feel like your guts are just kind of achy frequently. Maybe your joints also tend to be achy. In my humble opinion, if you checked at least 1 to 2 of those items that I just mentioned, and those are just a handful of many more that we could go on and on and on, but I feel like you have a pretty good idea at this point of whether or not you're leaning towards, yes, this sounds like me, or no, this doesn't sound like you. If it doesn't sound like you, you're good. You can probably click off of this video and go on about your day. If it does sound like you, we actually have a completely free 2-day blueprint starting tonight at 6 p.m. Replay will be available tonight and tomorrow night. We also have a $3,000 mystery prize attached to showing up tonight, so we would love to have you. I will put the link to join us for that in the description of this video if that is something that you desire. So what we are going to cover inside of this 2-day blueprint is kind of if you did check all of those boxes, what is the next step? What should you be doing? Now you understand that maybe you should not be turning to a pill, a tea, a shake, or some type of supplement that claims it's going to help you detoxify your body. Okay, fair. So Jillian, what do I do next? Guess what I'm going to share with you next? To be honest with you, there are layers to this topic. What I want to focus on with you here today is the food portion, okay? And so what you can begin to do is to put yourself through an elimination protocol or an anti-inflammatory protocol. I want to first state that there are many different variations of these. There are different degrees of elimination. Disclaimer, if you are somebody that has very severe GI issues, you should most likely consult with a doctor. However, this protocol is definitely going to benefit you if you do have GI issues. Here's the thing. If you have been following me, you know I'm not a huge fan of building large restriction into nutritional protocols for clients. There is a time and a place for it. If you said yes to a lot of those things that I mentioned inside of number 1, you're probably going to want to move into a little bit of restriction here inside of what I'm going to share with you for number 2, kind of what to do next if you did check a lot of those boxes. This is going to go so much better if you give yourself 7 to 14 days to utilize as sort of a prep phase or taper phase to begin to slowly remove things from your diet that might be creating some of the inflammation internally. We have to limit and or reduce the sources that are causing inflammation if we are going to give the GI the opportunity to heal so that your detoxification pathways can work efficiently again. If the GI is not working efficiently, you're not digesting and absorbing your nutrition like you should. So we definitely want to look at repairing what we can there. There's a whole protocol that goes alongside of that sort of rabbit trail topic inside of this topic. But for today, like I said, we're going to focus on the food. If you want all of that other information, definitely join us inside of that 2-day blueprint, and we will be supplying all of that for you so that you can be well on your way. So things that you are going to want to look at removing are going to be alcohol and caffeine as far as beverages are concerned. Some people don't drink a ton. You're still going to want to completely eliminate while you go through this elimination protocol. Otherwise, it might still be causing and creating some inflammation for you. Caffeine speeds up your phase 2 detoxification or the actual like bowel movements, right? I think a lot of people have the understanding that a lot of detoxification takes place through the liver and or the GI. There are other forms. We are focusing mostly on the food portion again for today's topic. So what we're taking in has a huge impact on the inflammation that does or does not reside inside of our bodies. So it's one of the things that we can control the most. And so this is why it's a great place to start. Moving on from the beverages, we want to completely eliminate any added sugar to the diet, meaning we're not adding sugar, we're not adding honey, we're not adding any extra sugar. The only sugar you're taking in resides in your fruits and maybe a little bit in your vegetables. Cow dairy. I know this is a hard one for a lot of people. However, 99.9% of the people that I have had go through this protocol with me have found out that they have at least a slight sensitivity, if not complete intolerance to this after reintroducing it later on. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Before we do that, I want to finish kind of going through the foods list here. Gluten. This has been a super trendy topic in the recent years inside of the dieting industry. Not everybody has a gluten sensitivity or intolerance, but the thing is we don't know until we completely remove the item and try adding it back in. Eggs. This is another one that's really hard for people because it's one of the only breakfast protein sources that a lot of people inside of our society turn to. That is a whole other topic that we'll be diving into inside of the blueprint and some other suggestions if this is a protocol that you are going to adopt and execute on your own. Soy. Obviously, there are very different quality of sources where we can consume soy from. If it is a good quality source, chances are you're probably okay, but we, again, don't know if you have a slight sensitivity to it until we remove it and then reintroduce it inside of that part of this protocol. Peanuts, I feel like that one kind of speaks for itself. I don't know about you, but I feel like at least 1 in 5 people that I know have a nut allergy. And then, of course, shellfish. I never realized that I had a sensitivity to shellfish, and I used to eat shrimp pretty frequently just as a different variation of protein sources to consume in my diet. Until I removed it and added it back in, I didn't realize that every time I consume shrimp, I get this little like almost like tingly, sort of almost like my throat is closing kind of feeling. Nothing extreme. It was always very mild, so I didn't think much about it, but that might be something you have experienced without thinking too much about it until you go through a protocol like this. With that being said, I honestly feel like this protocol is beneficial for everybody to go through at least once in their lifetime. It's something that I revisit at least once, if not twice a year, just as sort of a reset. These things can change. Your tolerance of certain foods can change, and the sensitivities as a byproduct will change as well. Number 3, I want to help you understand how to implement this protocol. It's very obvious at this point what not to eat. I've actually put together an entire ebook that lays everything out for you. We will be giving that to everybody who is joining us inside of that 2-day blueprint. This ebook lays it out for you step by step on how to proceed if at this point you believe that this would be beneficial for you to go through. For purposes of this video, I want to give you a brief overview of what that process and moving through this protocol would look like. So we would take 7 to 14 days for the taper. We want to completely remove all of those food items that I just listed for 2 whole weeks. We're going to block out 2 weeks. We're not going to touch those food items. Okay. Once we are finished with that taper week or 2 weeks of elimination, then we're going to move into what we consider the reintroduction process. Inside of that reintroduction process, we're going to reintroduce 1 food item at a time, 72 hours apart. There's more to be said about that reintroduction process, but that's how I would encourage you to proceed if you're going to execute this extremely well in a way that's going to allow you to fully understand what foods you have a slight sensitivity to and what foods do you not have a sensitivity to. And then it's going to also teach you how frequently you can consume this food without it negatively impacting this level of inflammation that you might be holding on to. If you are hanging on to a low level of inflammation and you choose not to go through this, just know that that low level of inflammation, even if it's not extreme, even if nothing that you're eating is putting you into anaphylactic shock, any low level of inflammation in the body suppresses your metabolism, which essentially means that things are functioning slowly or slower than they could be because your body wants to resolve that inflammation before it can do what you really want it to do. So again, even if you only check the box of 1 or 2 of those items, I still believe, in my humble opinion, that this is extremely beneficial for you to go through just so that you can learn what foods your body really likes and what foods your body would probably prefer if you didn't have as frequently. So at this point in the video, you should understand if you need to detox. You should also understand what to do next if you do feel like you need to detox. And you should have some idea of how to go through that reintroduction process. Like I said earlier in this clip, we are hosting a 2-day blueprint beginning tonight, 6 p.m. We would love to have you. We're going to deep dive this entire topic, the entire process, all the things you need to know to be successful inside of this protocol. We will link that as well as where you can find that ebook that lays it all out for you step by step in the description below. We really hope to see you there. If not tonight, then next week we'll see you back here.